So I've seen these TikToks of these street interviewers going up to different girls in the party scene, and they show them 4 different images of different body fat percentages. And one is like super lean, and then it gets to maybe like, 15%, and then 20%, and then like 25%. They ask these girls, which one do you think is the most attractive? And none of them ever say the completely shredded one, like the super muscular, like probably gym goer 7 days a week. Do you think that after a certain point of having a bodybuilding physique, you're really getting more of your attention from men?
The first thing is never ask a woman her opinion because she doesn't know what she's talking about. That's the first one. This is true. So they said, they showed Sebum's picture in the off season. He was 10 or 11%. What do you think of this? Dad bod. They said he had a dad bod. I was on Myron's show with those girls. I don't know what it's called. And they said, yeah, we like dad bods. We don't like bodybuilders. And then I turned to the woman. I said, so what do you think of me? She's like, yeah, you have a good dad bod. I'm like, I'm a professional bodybuilder. What are you talking about? And so that's the problem.
She's saying that to go viral.
They didn't know.
But you know what? Sometimes you hear women where they say, how much does a man need to make? And they're like, oh, $500,000
average,
a year.
yeah, like
or like,
$500,000.
I've seen so many, $1 million a year, they have to make minimum to date them.
A woman
like
wants 100 grand as a minimum. That's the average salary, right?
I refuse to believe that.
It's a perception thing. I don't think so.
They do not. Women have no clue what they want. They want a dad bod, but the dad bod's Jason Momoa. They do. I've seen this. It's not BS. Women have no clue what they want. They also want a man who's going to treat them like a princess and do this and do that. I'm like, no, you don't. They don't want them what they want. Have no clue. And so what do these women want? I'll tell you what they want. They want between 10 and 12% body fat, ideal. 5%, it's getting kind of extreme. They don't really want that. Now, some do. Girls who are in the fitness industry, like bikini models, competitors, girls who like really are into working out, they like that because that's your circle. Like my circle is like my friends, half of them are on steroids, half of them are jacked. The girls the same way. And so they're used to this. But the average woman doesn't need a guy who's like 5% body fat. Like I'm at 8%, so they don't need this. But 10 to 12, 1 in 100 men are at 10% body fat. So the ideal is 10 to 12. So the top 95% of men, that's what they want. Now, do they want 5%? The 1 in 1,000? No, that's a bit extreme. Chris Bumstead on show day, shredded. They don't need that. They just want Chris Bumstead as a dad bod in his off season, like the way he looks right now. 245 pounds, 6'1", jacked. That's what they want.
So if you were to go walking on a cruise with your shirt off or something like that, how many compliments would you say you get on your physique in 1 hour, and how many from guys and how many from girls?
I would say 90% of compliments are from men, and I'm being generous. It's probably 95% men. And it depends. Like most people that compliment me now, they already know me from YouTube and stuff. But if I'm going back to when I was younger, it's almost all men. And maybe not so much at the beach, but at the bar, it would be continuous all night. Wow, look at a physique. Every time I go to the washroom, men. How many girls? I've only been like grabbed in the ass by like maybe 3 girls in my life at a bar, hardly ever approached. And so if you're thinking you're developing a body to get girls, it's not. You're going to get lots of dudes though.
But if you're optimizing to get girls, what would be the ideal physique from your perspective?
Your size, but leaner. Like not jacked. Like I'm about 190. If I was 160, like lean like this, it'd be very good. Like there's no way you need this much muscle. A great looking natural physique, like the pinnacle top form natural who's trained for 10 years, that's probably what girls are looking for. Very lean, aesthetic. They don't care about the massive size, but definitely if like, I'm not gonna bullshit the guys. Girls will like you more at 10%, 12% than they will at 20 for most people. And so if you're trying to looks max, getting a 6-pack, but not having veins, not being crazy and not having steroid size, that's important.
I've always said this before, but Brad Pitt from Fight Club has always been my ideal, like aspiration body type. Is that.
And I would say that women don't need
work towards
that lean. He was in the 140s. How tall is Brad Pitt?
5'10",
and he was in the 140s.
Give or take, but
huge,
really, but lean though.
But definitely lean. But like, you don't need to be that lean. But certainly 10 to 12 is a great look for most men. It's that beach body. You definitely have a 6-pack, but you're not like so crazy that your chest is strided and it's like ridiculous.
It was interesting. After Brad Pitt, I think it was either Justin Bieber, his body, or David Beckham was like the next one up from that. I thought it was
like Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yes, he's highly sought after. That physique, absolutely. And you know what's funny? Of course, you can get that physique natural, but most can't. Most people can't get a David Beckham or Cristiano Ronaldo physique while being natural. But with steroids and a very good diet, or perhaps some Ozempic and GLP-1, and you starve yourself with steroids, that's probably what you're going to look like that level of physique. And so the problem is, most people think if I take steroids, enough of them, I'll probably look something like this, or maybe like Sam Sulek, roughly somewhere around there. But the problem is 90% will be way underdeveloped from what they expect. And so, I used to sell steroids. I know what guys were taking. And so they were just not nearly as satisfied. And I would say 50% of them, if they took their shirts off and you looked at them, you couldn't tell they worked out. And you're thinking, well, why would they use steroids? Because they wanted you to think they worked out. They wanted to be able to one day go on the beach with their shirts off and have their wife, their girlfriend look at them and be like, oh, you're kind of cute. You're kind of hot.
But why do everything else other than just work out and diet? It just seems like that would be the easiest thing to do. And if you're optimizing for women, which I bet a lot of guys, they say they do it for themselves.
I would say 90% are lying. They're doing it to get girls. Same as the girls.
But if
90%, what happens if they get their wife and they just why don't they just throw their physique out the window then?
Well, to start with, girls say they don't put makeup on for other people, it's for themselves. This is 100% bullshit. How many people get home from work and then put on makeup to sit and watch TV for themselves? Nobody does that. And so men that are just not, do it for me, they're doing it so they can feel good about the compliments for getting from men and for women. And so most people that are training are not doing it for their health. Steroids are not good for your health. Anyone that takes steroid, any bodybuilder, I don't care if it's C-Bum, if it was myself, any person that takes steroids, other than prescribed from a doctor, is doing something unhealthy. I would say it's equal to being morbidly obese. So when I was taking steroids, it's the same thing like smoking cigarettes or being 300 pounds of fat. It's not healthy. So if you're going to the gym for yourself, who goes to the gym to be less healthy, to live less long? And so if you're taking steroids, automatically not healthy. So when people go to the gym and take steroids and try to look a certain way, I think almost all are doing it to be more attractive. Attraction is more important than health.